Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. So I am going to be sharing a little bit of a story time today. I got myself into such an awkward, just embarrassing situation last week. This was like one of my biggest parenting fails ever. But I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm going to share this story because I never want to be one of these mothers online, on social media, on YouTube, that appear to have everything together and have the perfect life and the perfect kids and never make any mistakes, because that is not reality. I don't think that is reality for anyone. The reality is that parenting can be really hard, especially when you are living abroad, when you are an expat, a foreigner living in a country that you didn't grow up in. The amount of embarrassing situations that I have gotten myself into since living in Germany, I can't even count, especially since being a parent. So when I share this story, I think some of you will think it's kind of funny and can relate, and then a lot of you will probably be thinking, what an idiot, how did she let herself get into this situation? So anyway, let's get into the story. So for those of you who don't know, I have a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, almost 4-year-old. And my 7-year-old Emilia, she is in the first year at school, at primary school. So things are a little bit tricky with school right now for Emilia because of the current situation. So she's only at school 2 mornings a week. So her class is split up into 2 groups and they sort of rotate the days. And then sometimes on Friday she goes to school. So every second Friday, her class group goes to school in the morning. Okay, so it was Friday morning and I set my alarm for 6 o'clock. And I usually get up a little bit later than that, but I actually hadn't prepared her lunch or her like school books and things the night before, which I usually do. I was a bit tired that evening, so I thought I'd leave it to the morning. So I set my alarm early, 6 o'clock. And I remember waking up, like usually I'm woken up by my alarm, but that morning Emilia woke me up. And I was like, oh, Emilia's up early. And so I checked my phone. I used my alarm on my phone and my phone was completely flat. And I just freaked out. I was like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. So what had happened was my phone ran out of battery overnight. I usually charge it, but I don't know why I didn't that night. And my alarm didn't go off because my phone was dead. And so I checked the time on my computer and it was 8 o'clock. And Emilia starts school at 8 o'clock. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like this is a nightmare. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get her to school. Because she takes the bus to school. Right now it's a little bit tricky getting her to school because we live in a different village to the town that her school is in, because we're building a house, we're going to be moving soon, that's a different story. She has to take a bus to school and it only goes every hour, this particular bus, and so it was just going to make her super late for school. And so I was like, oh my god, what are we going to do? She finishes school at just after 11, is it worth trying to get her to school? So I thought to myself, do you know what, I am just going to let her stay home this morning because, you know, I don't drive. It's going to be hours before she makes it to school, and by then school's going to be almost over. And then I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to say to the school? I can't tell them that I overslept, my alarm didn't go off. It sounds like such a bad excuse. And it's so hard for me sometimes to make complicated phone calls in German. I feel like I'm really good at getting my message across when I'm talking to somebody in German, like in person, but when it comes to phone calls, I'm just not good with them. And so I thought to myself, I'm gonna make it super simple. I'm gonna ring up the school office and say that Emilia has an appointment this morning and can't come into school. In New Zealand, where I grew up and went to school, things like that are much more sort of relaxed. You could make up any excuse for your child not being at school and you're not going to get questioned at all. So I rang up the school office thinking that it was all going to be good, and I said that my little girl Emilia will not be coming to school today because she has an appointment. And I really didn't think I was going to be questioned any further. And the office lady said to me, and what appointment is that? And I had to think really quickly because I hadn't prepared myself, and I said, a doctor's appointment. And what type of doctor's appointment is it going to be? And I was like, oh my goodness, what am I going to say? And then I said, it's actually like a speech appointment. And oh my goodness, it was such a lie. Like, I was just lying the whole time, and I felt so terrible. And the lady said to me, well, what usually happens in Germany is that you need to inform the school beforehand if you make an appointment, and you also need to have a note to explain that your child was at the appointment. It needs to be an official note from the doctor's office. I just wanted to curl up and die then and there. I was so embarrassed, and I said to the lady, I'm really sorry, I didn't know this. What would you like me to do? And the lady said, well, this time you need to get an official letter from the doctor to explain that Emilia had an appointment, but next time we would like to be notified beforehand. And I was like, okay, thank you very much, have a nice day. And I got off the phone, and I was like, what the hell have I gotten myself into? And everything possible was just running through my head, like, what am I going to have to fake a doctor's note? Like, how am I going to get myself out of this situation? And I just didn't realize how seriously Germany took school absence, like even just for one morning. And yeah, I was like quite taken back by the office lady's response. And I felt like an absolute idiot, like the worst parent in the world for lying and like bringing my little girl into this lie. And I rang up my husband. I was crying. I was like, oh my goodness, I've done something so silly and just awful. And I explained it to my husband, and he was actually quite annoyed at me. He just said to me, like, why did you think it was a good idea to lie about Emilia having an appointment? And I just said, I didn't think they'd question me any further. And he said, of course they're going to, you know, you can't just make up excuses like this. In Germany, it's just a lot more strict. And I just don't think Germans would lie about things like that. Germans are super honest, and I just told a bunch of lies. I just didn't know what to do. And Rob said to me, well, you need to sort this out. I don't have anything to do with this. And so he was really harsh. So I got off the phone. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And I messaged two of my best friends here. I was like, I've got myself into a terrible situation. How am I going to get out of this without, you know, getting myself into an even bigger mess? And my friends were trying to help me come up with an idea to like cover it up. One of my friends suggested that I wrote an email to Emilia's teacher explaining that Emilia's appointment was actually for another day. I accidentally muddled up the appointment, and I thought, okay, that probably sounds like a good idea, because then they can't really like ring the doctor and ask if Emilia was at the appointment, and maybe that could work. And then my other friend suggested that I owned up to it and I told the truth about what happened. And I was like, I can't do that. That is so embarrassing. I'm going to look like the biggest idiot for lying. So what would I rather do? Be the idiot foreigner mother that lied, or teach my daughter to lie and potentially get caught? And it would be even more embarrassing if I got caught, if, you know, they found out the truth. I thought, okay, I'm going to write the email to the teacher to say that I muddled up the date of the appointment. And so I wrote this email out all in German. I think it sounded really, really good. So I showed the email to Rob, and I just wanted him to read through it to see if my German grammar and spelling and everything sounded okay. And he read through it and he was like, you cannot send this to Emilia's teacher. He said that it just sounded like lie after lie after lie, and she's not going to fall for it. Rob's suggestion was that I wrote a handwritten letter to the teacher, put it in an envelope, and get Emilia to give it to her on Monday, like directly hand it to the teacher. And I was like, okay, I think I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to swallow my pride, own up to my mistakes, admit that I lied, and yeah, just explain everything. So that's what I did. I got Rob to read through the letter, and there was a few little mistakes that he changed, and he was like, okay, yep, that sounds good, better than lying. So Emilia took the letter to her teacher on Monday, and I was so embarrassed, like all morning. I was so nervous, wondering what she was going to say. I was like, oh my God, like I've never been so embarrassed in my life. And when Emilia got home from school, I said to her, oh, Emilia, did you give the letter to your teacher? And she was like, yes. And I said, what did your teacher say? Emilia said to me, she smiled and said, your mummy is as sweet as you. And I was like, what? She said, I'm as sweet as you. So it turned out that owning up to my mistake, as painful as it was was the best solution. Emilia's teacher was so cool about it, and I think she probably found it a little bit funny, and she thought, oh no, that was silly, but you know, she's owned up to it. I don't know, that's the impression that I got. And so the lesson was really nice, really polite, and basically it was just me owning up to my mistake. It was like the biggest weight had been lifted from my shoulders. You know, I may have looked like an idiot writing that letter, but at least I'm an honest idiot. And, you know, I can have a clear conscience. I didn't have to lie. I didn't have to make my daughter lie. Telling the truth, as hard as it is sometimes, is almost always the best option in the end. So I really learned a lesson from that. It was a huge lesson to just own up to your mistakes. Rob said to me, I'm so proud of you for doing that. It took a lot of guts, but it was the right thing to do. And I totally agree with him. And so basically I wanted to share this story because I think it has a really good sort of moral. I think maybe some of you may be able to learn from my mistakes, especially if you're an expat in Germany. It's really important not to lie about small things like this because it's quite often that you will get caught out. In Germany, they're just a lot more strict about, you know, absence from school, and if you have an appointment, you need to prove that you've been to that appointment and that kind of thing, which I wasn't really aware of until this incident, so I definitely learned a lesson from that. And basically I just wanted to, you know, let you guys know that I'm human. I make mistakes all the time. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. I'm just human. So anyway guys, I hope you found my parenting fail entertaining. It probably made you feel better about yourself and your own life. If you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. I would love you to consider subscribing to my channel. Feel free to connect with me on Instagram, and I will see you again really soon. Bye!